Hey everybody, welcome back to Kahler Family Farms. In this video here, I think we're just gonna be kind of an update on what I've been doing this fall. You'll see I've already cut some soybeans. I had some 2-2 soybeans that I got planted in, well, I think it was around June 8th, give or take, I'm not sure. And I got those cut. I've been working on the corn picker still, getting ready for that. I did hand shell some corn. I'm right here next to the field. This stuff is dry, at least along the road. I can't get a thumbprint in it or anything, but yeah, I ended up going into the field, you know, further than just the row here next to the road, and it's running about 24%, but this one here I would guesstimate to be around 18. That is 97-day corn I planted in a previous video this spring. I planted it in the first part of June, and it looks like it's going to make some corn, and better yet, dry corn. I don't have any drying capabilities here on the farm, and drying is very expensive, so one of the reasons I've historically not grown very much corn is drying costs a fortune. And then we've been all struggling with tar spot and vomitoxin amongst other issues, and corn's just usually a harder thing for me. But I mean, this stuff here too, that's 100 and 101 day, it's dried down beautifully. And then again, the 97-day corn up there, and the one I pulled was up on the hill. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, we got that first field of beans off, and they were enlist soybeans, and they did about 45, which is pretty normal for me, I would say. Usually if I get up to 55 plus, I'm really doing something. I have raised some 70 bushel the acre soybeans before, but since about 23, we've just been bone dry literally every August, and that's not really good for soybeans. They need moisture in August, and I would say even in early September to fill out. And it is, what is today? October something, like the 3rd or 4th, I don't know what, I'll look. October 4th. It's October 4th, and we had a rain event in the beginning of August, end of July, that made, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches, and it has been bone dry since then. I think we had 1.5 inches like the last part of September, but basically we have had, that has been the only amount of rain we've had in like 2 months. And from what I've read in the paper here, there's been multiple combine fires this fall already, just from the dry weather and everything. So that's something to think about. But anyways, all my food grade soybeans are 3.5s, and some of them got real weedy this year. You'll see that probably later on this fall. Just between all the dry weather and then when it was wet. Honestly, I should say that we haven't really caught up in moisture from last year. We were dry all last fall. We didn't have any rain in August again, and then it rained this spring, and then we finally got planted in June, and then it literally just tablespoon fed the crop this summer. We never had excess moisture. We just had moisture to get by until August when the spigot shut off. And it's just been so darn dry. Can't get over it. But anyhow, these 3.5s, they're still pretty ripe in areas, so I've been waiting here a while for them to ripen up. And I've heard guys are combining meads at like 9 and 10% already, which the 2.2s I did get started them at 13.5, and by the time I was done they were already 10.9. So I figured I'm not going to try and run all these green stemmed soybeans through the combine and go through a boatload of diesel fuel, and I'm just going to hold off for them to ripen up. And then it's supposed to rain this Tuesday, so maybe I'll have a chance to get them at 13 again, or at least you know, not 9 or 10, because that costs too much money and they shatter out and they're just not fun to combine. But anyways, R52 ran the 55 acres pretty well flawlessly. I spent a whole pile of money on that machine. I had North Star Hardware do the work. They've been really good to me, considering I'm just a blip on the map and nobody really cares about me. I'm not a big enough farmer to care about, but they seem to, and I really appreciate that. But you guys will see some footage of that. What I did grab, I was focused on trying to get them off since it was the first day and everything. And then the rest of this video will just be the corn picker in here, and I did get the drill greased up and ready to sow wheat whenever we get the window for that. So anyhow, so I'm trying to decide what to pick ear corn with. I would run the John Deere. That's what Grandpa always picked corn with, but it's just ready for some love. So I'm trying to decide if I want to pick corn with the 8010 or our 7010 open station. And I want you guys in the comments to let me know which you'd rather see on the picker. I just spent a boatload of money on this bad boy. Got the newer model, brand new SCH cutter bar on it. The whole thing's new with roller guards. My old one didn't have roller guards. Put a brand new trough in it the whole way across. Got these situated, even though I had fixed a majority of them. They fixed one that had blown out and put a plate on it. So yeah, we're kind of taking it on its maiden voyage, kind of reconditioned brand new again, had the automatic header height and everything under it fixed. I'd hit a rock last year with it and it got stuck up underneath and screwed a bunch of stuff up. So, yep, that'll be exciting to see how it works. Sample's looking pretty clean in there. Well, other than the green pods I just drove through, we're not going to count that. I got the head adjusted. The lateral tilt still isn't really wanting to work. There's a beam there, but is it cutter bar loss or is it out the back of the machine loss? Like I said, these are kind of green, so I don't really feel the need to check those. Well, we're getting rid of some little beans through here. I don't know if I like that. Actually, the few beans I saw down there might be out of that. Another good check is to come along here, see if there's any beans laying out here from the straw chopper, and I don't really see any. Yield monitor working on this, and then I wouldn't have so much guessing to do, but I guess I'd still probably be calibrating it at this point because I haven't had a real good chance to take a significant load to the elevator. I hauled one combine bin dump, hauled it to the elevator. I figured if I was going to run a sample to the elevator to see what the moisture was, I may as well just put one whole dump on the wagon and take it with me. And it was 13, so 13% moisture, so I decided that's about right. I'd rather get them around 13.5 to 14, so I'm selling some moisture, but now's the time to be on them. They're cutting good, the moisture's there. It sure beats trying to cut beans at 9 and 10% where all you can hear is them hitting the windshield on the cab and losing a bunch at the cutter bar and losing weight at the elevator, and beans are already hardly worth anything. So be nice to get every penny you can. If you guys watched my spring video, I can tag it here in the description. I planted soybeans into approximately 6 foot tall cereal rye. That was this field. I am happy I had the cutter bar redone on this, because the old one I think probably would have tried to scrape back and peel back the rye that's laying on the field, and caused me problems and a bunch of grief. So this new SCH knife that's got a shorter finger seems to be doing a really good job picking it up and not getting tangled in the rye and plugged and everything else. So I am happy about that. And I kind of expect this to be my worst field of beans. My camera keeps moving there on me. But I don't know. The other ones all had cereal rye on them, but not quite like this one did. I kind of would expect it to hold the moisture on. However, I tried to not spray them. I tried to just kill the rye at emphasis with our rolling harrow, and it did a great job. It killed probably 95% of it, but when we had some rains come back in, I had some issues with the cereal rye. The cereal rye in the heads actually sprouted and started growing, and I ended up with another cereal rye crop with beans, so I did end up having to spray this field twice. We're gonna find out if we can budge this guy or not. I think I'm just gonna drag this wagon home with me. Alrighty, I'm gonna back up and let that lock. And then I usually like to push it back as far as I can. Oop, we're spinning tires. And then let it roll forward and get some momentum. Ooh, there we go. Got her moving. I need it. check this out. It works. Well, it's actually, it works. I can pull the rope on the tractor and release the wagons. I tested it out. I got a new rope on that. I got a new rope on the trip that turns on and off the elevator. It's back here somewhere. Yeah, you can see it, but that doesn't work anyway. I need a spring for it, but it does have a rope on it now. Got the rope that goes up to the elevator to, darn it. Anyways, back to what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by the air compressor. I got a rope back on here to control the, shoot, I don't even know what you want to call it, like a deflector at the top of the elevator that controls how far it throws the ear corn into the wagon. It doesn't work, but we got the rope on there. I guess something I should address about this corn picker that I haven't yet is that it used to sit in my great-grandfather's barn, and that barn fell down and fell on top of this corn picker. That somehow the elevator stayed intact and never broke, but a section of roof came down and it just bent the crap out of this hood back here. I have found, thanks to some help from people on Facebook, a place in Indiana. I think it's Topeka, Indiana. I've been told they sell about every part you could need for one of these to keep them going. So I know that they make the boot I need for down here for the unload elevator. I need to get one of those, but that's not going to be for this year. I know they make sprockets, everything, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I was going to see if maybe they don't do anything with that up there, if I can't finagle it to get it to work better. I did get some new hose put on this John Deere hydraulic cylinder. I kept it 10 foot in case I want to use it on something else. And I actually put Allis-Chalmers fittings on this thing, or Pioneer 8010s. Anyhow, so we've been tinkering with this, getting it ready to go. My buddy that has my cows is going to take the ear corn and probably grind it for some heifer feed. I've been dragging out a lot of our old wagons. I haven't had this one out of the barn in a long time. I ended up having to take the sideboards off. They kind of broke on it. Got a tire to fix. But I got this one out. I've got a couple really, really old McCurdy wagons over here. And I think, well, I know Grandpa had flat wagons prior to that. And these were his first two gravity wagons he bought. I don't know the history on them. I don't know when he bought them, but they only hold 120 or 130 bushel apiece. But they're McCurdy wagons. I would assume that they were probably built when McCurdy was still in Ada, Ohio, which is probably why he still bought them, because they were locally made. This running gear is junk. I hate it. You can't hardly go 15 mile an hour with it wanting to whip everywhere on the road. And that one's got a John Deere running gear on it, but it's also all sorts of screwed up. But some thoughts for in the future. We have a 1941 Chevy Coca-Cola truck. My grandpa used it for one of his first grain trucks back in the day. This is the inside of one of my great-grandfather's barns. I got a lot going on here. I'm mostly just corn, soybean, wheat farmer right now. I'm hoping to get some livestock back into the picture, but give me a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what I'm doing you don't like. Anything, just let me know. Thanks. Remember, trust nature. It yields.